this is David Wright, and you're listening to WICR.
All right, and we're here.
Hi, this is David Wright.
Another special edition of We Got It Covered. Andrew Alice here with Dominic, and we got a special guest today, our first guest of the year, Joe. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
What's going on, Andrew?
How you been?
The first of many.
I ain't seen you in a minute,
Golden boy. You got Joe in.
That's a fact.
All I'm going to say is, how crazy would it be if we got Colin Kaepernick to do one of the audio intros? Like, I'm Colin Kaepernick coming in. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, he was in New York, the other day, or last week.
Here. He was crazy.
Yeah,
I just did a presentation on Colin Kaepernick, so I'm like, I'm ready.
Damn.
If need be, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. That'd be dope if we got him. But yeah, Pete, not Pete. Joe knows Pete. That's why, because Joe goes way back with Pete, right?
Way back with Pete. Pete and I went to high school together, and did films together. So.
Really?
You did films too?
Yeah. He was a big filmmaker.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
now
say
we need
it.
to have a conversation.
Private stuff. Next time we'll have Pete. We'll have him elaborate on these kind of movies.
Now we need to have a conversation with Pete. Yeah. So that'd be dope. Well, this is the man.
I have scripts written, man. I have a lot of stuff written. It's just getting the people together. That's my problem.
That's
like
everything.
The scheduling. It's just like every summer, I'm going to make a movie. It's going to be easy. I have the script. I can get the equipment. And you're trying to manage 12 college kids who live in different states who have jobs. It's really hard to come in, man. It's hard to just narrow down that date.
No, it's mind-numbing. The only thing that you could do is just circle the date, say I'm doing whatever on this date, and whatever.
If need be, come by yourself.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just hard. You can't shoot by yourself. You can't shoot a film. You need people, obviously, unless you want to like do the half face where you're one character and then another character, but then who's gonna be holding the camera? You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
It's that's like the hardest part of filmmaking. It's actually orchestrating like the people to come.
It's
the
the
management aspect of it. You know what I'm saying?
It's the producing side and the business side.
It's literally the main issue is you tell people about the idea, and in hype they're like, oh yeah, I'm so down, I'm so down. A month later, yo, bro, what happened was.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tell them about the idea, you get them hyped because you're hyped about it. Like, oh yeah, it sounds awesome. Let's do it. Time comes to do it. Where they at though?
That's a fact. Yeah. And so, how long have you been acting?
So I started acting when I was 11. Started when I was 11 doing school plays and stuff, but seriously auditioning and whatnot, I'd probably say 16, 17.
Okay. Was this like a thing that you wanted to do since you were a kid, or?
Yeah. When I first got on stage, that's what I wanted to do. So it's been a long road, but still chiseling away.
Do you remember like your first play and everything like that?
Yeah. So the first actually, I want to say Pete was in that play.
Really?
I almost want to say Pete was in that play. I forget what he was.
What play was it?
It was Fairy Tale Survivors, or a survivor of the fairy tale. And actually, no, I scratched that. My first play was this play called Grammar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was horrible. It was about like every character in the play was a punctuation point.
Oh my god.
It was a piece of right.
It was like a punctuation mark.
Yeah, the exclamation mark. He would say all his lines excited. So my teacher was saying, "Oh, I don't like this idea. We should do something else." So we thought of Survivor, like the TV reality show, but with fairy tale characters. So I was a blind mouse. I forget what Pete was in the show, but he was in it, and that was the first time that
Pete's a semicolon.
Semicolon. So this was what age?
11.
Oh, so that was when you were 11. Okay. So that was your first play?
So just real quick, I want to let the audience know, is your actual profession, would you say you're an actor by profession?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, actor and film.
Have you worked in anything that people would know?
There's a few films coming out.
Nice. In the future, I'm going to keep a lookout for you in the background.
Please.
Or maybe hopefully you have a role, you're not just a background character, you know what I mean? But I'm going to keep a lookout, man.
Nah, this man has a role.
There's a few films. I did a film out in LA 2 years ago, named The Maestro.
Okay.
That film is going around through a festival.
Oh yeah, that's how you have to get your name out there nowadays, man. You have to tour the festival circuit, and hopefully somebody picks you up from there.
I actually saw that you posted on your Instagram or Twitter. Which one? Yep.
It's playing in Indianapolis in October, and it's going to be playing in St. Louis in November.
What festival?
Was playing in Mexico in October, but they canceled the festival because of the earthquakes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Dang.
That sucks.
That sucks, man.
Just how life is, man. It's weird.
The timing of that's terrible. What festival was it again?
Which one?
For any festival, like whichever one.
So the one in Indianapolis, it's called the Heartland Film Festival. Do you know Rob Reiner?
Yes.
Yeah, Rob Reiner's going to be honored there this year, I believe.
Oh, dude, he's the man.
Oh.
He's in a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even expect. He's always like
Yeah.
that old funny guy.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's brilliant, and
Mhm.
so they're honoring him this year at the festival. And then the one in St. Louis, I think it's the St. Louis International Film Festival. So
That's dope.
one of the films was going there, and another film that I was in with the actor's names. I wasn't on screen with him, but we both had roles in the film. An actor, Mike Starr.
Mhm.
He was in Dumb and Dumber. He's the guy that Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels pick up.
Oh.
Okay. That's a throwback. Dumb and Dumber was like my childhood. It's like a classic. It's like that.
That is a
the
classic.
Sandlot, Ace Ventura. You know, out here, man.
All those
Out here.
90s movies.
All classics.
Uh-huh. So what is the hardest part about making a project besides like the producing aspect? Because when you were telling me that you were doing a project like you wanted to start like in August or late August, September, like, and you were like, oh, we have to be there for hours. I was like, what do you mean hours? Because like you said 11 hours, and I was kind of confused. I thought like you just do your shot and then that's it.
Oh no! I was running the production. I mean, if you're just an actor, you're just one specific role on a set. You'll have a different call time. You'll have a different schedule than everyone else.
Mhm.
But when you're producing it, when you're supposed to be there all day, you're supposed to be there before the load-in, for the load-in.
Mhm.
You're supposed to be there when you're setting up, and then at the end of the day, you got to load out of the location. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's easily a 10 or 12-hour day.
That's crazy.
You would assume that acting is just way more strenuous than you just like playing a character. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it is. But I would so much prefer it over producing. Producing is probably the worst thing.
Yeah, I want to be a director. I'm all about like having the vision, I'm not necessarily telling people what to do because that's what people think directing is. Directing is kind of you have to have a hand in everything. So you have to know the basis of script writing, the basis of cinematography, the basis of editing. Because honestly, if you're the one guiding people, what are you gonna guide them off if you have no knowledge of it? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
For me, it's more. It isn't necessarily just leading people. It's more leading by example.
Right.
So if you want something, you want someone to follow you, go out there and do it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy, I'd rather be in the nitty gritty with my crew. You know what I'm saying? I don't take the position for granted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the moments where I have directed and I have a few short films made in high school that were like over 20 minutes, I did a PSA for the Boys and Girls Club in collab with the Boys and Girls Club of New Rochelle.
Mhm.
I was a director, but that doesn't necessarily mean I was in the back slacking the entire time. You know, I had my cast and crew. We made it whenever we can, but it was also a class project. But like directing in of itself is so rewarding in a sense because when you're shooting it, correct me if I'm wrong, right? When you're shooting it scene by scene, and you're getting all the footage, it comes across as kind of jumbled. Then when you let the editor do their magic and it comes all together, dude, it's like literally the best possible feeling.
Oh, it's an incredible. You're absolutely right. When you're because it gets mind numbing too when you're behind the camera for so long, and then once you
It
get to the
definitely
next.
requires a lot of focus, man. It's not easy. It's not as easy as people think it is.
Oh no, it's
Especially
not.
when you're shooting the same 4 scenes for like 6 hours, man. We were dealing with kids, right? So I had like the kids who were like 6, 7 had
That's
to
the
reshoot
hardest.
the same scene. It's the hardest, but it's also the best because kids, in my opinion, are some of the best actors.
Oh, they are.
Because
the
they
best
just let
actors.
loose. You know what I'm saying? They're kids. They have no inhibitions. They
That's
just do
a fact.
whatever they want. But also managing the kids is kind of hard because you know how the kids are. The kids are really immature, so they say one joke, everybody starts geeking out and start laughing
Yeah,
and stuff. So
we
dealing
gotta-
with that for like a week at a time, multiple times a day, you're just like, shut up. Shut up. But you put the smile on and you're like, all right, guys, back to shooting. Ha.
You have to put on a performance in order to
like,
make sure
like
that
I said,
they're in line.
it goes back to leading by example because if the kids
Yeah.
see you having a great time, they're gonna want to have a great time too.
That's true. That's true. Do you have a favorite project that you've done so far?
Me, I like the Boys and Girls Club, but I
Well-
do have a very, very, very stupid 15-minute short film I made in high school. That was quality. It was like the adventures of 2 secret agents. It was super low budget.
Mhm.
Shot around Yankee Stadium. I played the villain. My introduction scene is me taking a poop in the toilet. We have crazy sound effects. It's hilarious. It is so bad, it's good. And seeing high school Dom makes me laugh every time.
Joe.
Do you have that anywhere?
I have it on me. Literally have it in my bag. I have the.
Do you-
I have it on a portable
We'll
hard
see it.
drive.
We'll see it
I
later.
have it on a portable hard drive. I will watch it. It's gonna be hilarious.
I need to see that.
Joe, what about you? Do you have a favorite movie that you've made so far?
Well, I mean, I've only made 2.
Mhm.
I was gonna make a third one. Obviously, it was Speaking
We need to
to
get
you-
into contact. I'm gonna start networking on the show. We need to get into contact,
No,
my man, for
absolutely.
sure. We need to get some stuff. I have some stuff I want to get off the ground.
Well, it's great. I mean, it's great too because as an actor, I'm in stuff and whatnot. But also as a director and writer now, I'm kind of where I want to be. My second short film was at the Manhattan Film Festival last spring.
Nice.
It's going to be in a film festival in Los Angeles in April.
Mhm.
So that's kind of going around. I would say that's my favorite project. It was my second short film. It's named Mr. Riley.
Mhm.
The trailer's on my Vimeo page.
Nice,
So-
nice.
If
Mhm.
you guys want to check it out. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm
for
sure
sure,
that's
for sure.
definitely my favorite.
It's always a great time, especially when you get to fly out.
Mhm.
You meet so many cool heads at these, like, you meet so many dope people at these festivals who
Oh,
also
yeah.
have the same interest as you, so you guys can just be total nerds and spaz out about, like, the dumbest stuff in movies. Have you seen the cinematography? Yo, bro, I just watched The Shining. It was crazy. Do all that
Right.
kind of stuff.
It's right, exactly. You get to meet everyone.
Mhm.
You don't know who you're going to meet.
Especially. Mhm.
I was at a fundraiser last night with for a film company that's starting a charity program around the nation, and it was a big fundraiser, and there were a lot of people there. One guy I met made an app called Nightstream.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know that app?
No, not at all.
Nah.
Okay, it's an amazing app. He was showing it to me, and basically, you watch videos of every club in wherever city that you're in, or concert or whatever, and you bring it up on your phone, and you could see what's going on there live, so you could see how crowded it is.
If it's worth going
If
to
it's
or
worth
not. That's
going
good for
to.
us millennials. When you're here in 21
Oh,
and you want to hit the
exactly.
city, oh, you found it. I'm sold.
But it's an amazing app, and he made it. I'm like looking at the guy. I'm like, you made this? He's like, yeah, I did. And and I was at a film fundraiser. So
Mhm.
to your point, you're absolutely right. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah, it's always. It keeps you on your toes in a sense. It's awesome.
Mhm. That's true. What is the hardest part about making it into the industry? Because I know we talked about that a little bit. That you say, like, Hollywood is really hard to get into, and it's really easy to get out of. You see celebrities all the time. They made it once, they made it big, and then, now we barely hear from them. So what is the hardest part about making it in?
Offer two different perspectives. We'll let you go first.
Cool. Like I said, I got two things.
Mhm.
The first thing is working consistently.
Mhm.
So for example, that film that I did out in LA, and then actually the other feature that I did that was shortly after the film I did out in California. I haven't been in anything to that scale since that, and this was shot in May of 2016.
Mhm.
So it's been a year and a half now since I was on, kind of a project that big where I had, that title of a role. So the biggest challenging thing is working consistently, and unfortunately, that really doesn't happen until you're in a hot commercial or you're on a hot TV show, and then everything just kind of starts rolling.
Mhm.
But you might not get to that point. You might never get to that point in your lifetime. And that's the craziest thing. I mean,
Yeah.
and even if you do get to it, it might be much, much later down the road. So one is working consistently, and two is accepting that reality, that what you're trying to do, because everyone thinks that, I'm going to get to a point in the business, I'm going to reach a certain platform, and it
Mhm.
couldn't be further from the truth. There's a great story with an actor, Jack Lemmon. He was in a show with this young actor. They both were cast in the show, and Jack Lemmon's this huge star. He's done everything, and the kid says to Jack Lemmon, or Jack Lemmon says to the kid, you look nervous. It's the last night. What's wrong? And the kid goes, I don't know where my next job's coming from. I'm upset that this is over. I'm kind of thinking about it now. And Jack Lemmon looks at him, this big star, and says, "Hey, yeah, kid, me too. I'm going to be unemployed after this too." So, the biggest issue, the biggest challenge is one, working consistently and accepting that you could be unemployed at any second. You don't. It's a total mystery, this business, and to an extent, I don't even think. I think making it is kind of a myth.
Mm-hmm.
We see the people that we see, the Brad Pitts, the Denzel Washingtons, the A-list celebrities. There's like
The odds of those coming out are so low.
there's like 100 of those people to millions. Like you know what I mean?
And there's also certain people who can really, really act and have the same range and talent as them, but they never get the break.
Yep.
It's kind of like one of those. It's a luck situation in addition to skill. Like you can have all the skill in the world, but first, if you don't know the right people,
Absolutely.
and if you don't just fall into the right, you have to be at the right place at the right time,
That's
and
it.
that's so specific. You know what I mean? I definitely agree. I think for me though, because you give a view where you're already in the business, right? You know,
Right.
you have experience. For me, I'm a novice. I'm a rookie. I want to go into the business. So the hardest part is getting your foot in that door.
Yeah.
Because you have all these aspirations. You work your ass off. You have all these independent films. You know how to do this, that, and the third. But sometimes that's not enough.
No.
For example, right? I had an internship interview with Sirius Radio, right? I walk into the interview. I think I kill it. I body it, right? We talk and everything. At a certain point, it becomes casual conversation. They go, Dom, we actually have to end this interview. We've been talking for way too long. I'm like, all right, hell yeah. And as we're leaving, we're still talking. We're still having a great time, right? He goes, we'll be in contact. They call me in a few weeks. You didn't get the job. And I'm like, what? How did I get the job? We talked for an hour. We're talking sports. We're talking movies. It was awesome. He goes, and in my resume, I do the radio show. I'm an executive in the radio club, and it's Sirius Radio. What more do I need? And they go, someone was just more qualified.
But what does that mean?
What does that even mean? That can mean
Yeah.
anything. That's what
Right.
it goes back to that idea. You can do everything, but you just have to have that right look, the right place, the right time.
That's it.
And it's also the thing where one of the biggest challenges is to stay encouraged and to keep going and not get complacent. That's my biggest thing
Yes.
too, because when you make the project, you can feel like you're on top of the world, or you can be riding that high for too long.
Right.
Or you could be riding the low for too long, where you don't have the job, where things aren't working out for you, then you get stuck in the rut, and then from there, who knows where it goes? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're you're absolutely
That's
right.
definitely right.
And it's true too. You're right. It's where that you know, right. Luck is where you know, the timing meets the preparation and it hits. But you know, I've seen a lot of it now because all my friends are in the same spot that I'm in. You know, I had a guy last night telling me, one of my really, really good friends, he's older too, he's in his 40s, he was in my first short film, incredible actor, incredible comedic actor, and you know, he said to me the other night, he's like, you know, Joe, I got a great job, because he's in advertising, and I'm still doing this because I got to do it, you know. And it just, so everyone, I feel that so many people are in that situation where you're right, they're waiting for that opportunity,
It's so much more pronounced now more than ever, because almost everybody you talk to, at least one in every fourth person, what do you want to do? Media. What does media mean, though?
Yeah.
It could be anything within media. There's so many heads trying to get in,
Yeah.
and everyone's vying for that same spot. But it's also a catch-22 in a sense, right? Companies want experienced talent, but how are you going to get the experience if they're not taking the chance on you? You know what
Right.
I mean?
It's a fact.
It's a lot that goes into it that you don't consider until you're actually in the field and you're applying, you're doing all the little things that no one talks about. You know what I mean? The industry is beautiful, but it's also brutal.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the industry.